Hello, everyone. Welcome to Barca News and welcome to the post-match live analysis where we analyze Barcelona matches as soon as they end. Today, we're going to be talking about the Barcelona versus Valencia match where Barcelona won 6-0 with three, not one, not two, but three braces. One by Fermin Lopez, one by Gotinha, and one by Robert Lewandowski, for a total score of 6-0 at the Stadi Johan Cruyff as Barcelona resumed the season, well, the best way possible. Now, let's talk about the match. First, we are going to talk about, in general, the general sensations about the team, and then we're going to talk about specific players because there is a lot to decipher here because there was a lot going on in today's match. It's starting, of course, with the lineup because there was a lot of surprises in today's lineup. Of course, we have Johan Garcia in goal. No surprise there. Jules Koundé as our right back. Also no surprise there. Gerard Martin taking the place of Alejandro Balde, who's injured. Also no surprise there. But the surprise came in the center back pairing because we saw Pau Cubarsí and Eric Garcia. Now, Hansi Flick has been doing a lot of testing with the center backs. We've seen Pau Cubarsí with Araujo, Pau Cubarsí with Christensen with Eric, Pau with Eric. We've seen a lot of combination. I think Hansi Flick was still trying to figure out who will be his starting center backs. And then today, trying out Pau Cubarsí and Eric Garcia. So the surprise there, I thought it was going to be Christensen. Ended up being Eric Garcia. I'm going to talk about it in a little bit on whether I thought this was a good pairing or not. And then in the midfield, of course, Pedri and then Marc Bernal replacing the injured Frenkie de Jong. No surprises there either. And then Rooney Bardghji taking the place of Lamine Yamal. I thought that was what was going to happen, but of course you never know. Maybe it was going to be Rafinha, maybe Ferran playing there with Lewandowski as the number 9. It wasn't too clear, but nonetheless, Rooney Bardghji taking the place of Lamine Yamal, who's currently injured, who we don't know if he's going to miss the Newcastle match as well. Fermin Lopez starting ahead of Dani Olmo. We're going to talk about Fermin a lot. Marcus Rashford on the left. That's something I expected, I predicted, because Rafinha was played 2 matches with Brazil in FIFA international break. The second one being with against Bolivia in very high altitude. Of course, very long flight to and from South America, plus the time difference. I expected that Rafinha would be on the bench, but it seems that Rafinha was also late. It looks like Rafinha was late to the talk that Flick has with his players, that what they call the tactical talk right before a match, and that could also be a reason why Rafinha did not start and was instead on the bench. But Rashford on the left, Bardghji on the right, Fermin Lopez on attacking midfield, and then Ferran Torres starting ahead of Robert Lewandowski. So lots of surprises there in the lineup, but nonetheless, that did not stop Barcelona from absolutely demolishing and dominating Valencia. Now, overall sensations, I loved every second of the match. I really liked what I saw from Barcelona. I thought Barcelona was a compact team that worked really well together, combined really well together, especially in the transitions. We saw a lot of fast transitions. We saw the team dominate the entire match, not just in possession, because there's, of course, you can dominate possession, but it doesn't mean that it's productive possession. But this was possession with intent. Barcelona not only did dominate possession, but they did it in a way where, well, it was a productive possession of the ball, where Barcelona not 1 second took their foot off the accelerator. It was an attack after an attack after an attack after an attack. Even when Barcelona were up 3-0, 4-0, 5-0, even when Barcelona were up 6-0, the team kept going and going and going. Not 1 second did they lower their intensity, and that's, of course, what Hansi Flick has been asking of the team. And let's hope that this was a lesson by contracts for the team, because let's not forget, last match, Rayo Vallecano, the team came out asleep. They never really hit their full stride. They were kind of going like 50, 60, 70% intensity, because of course it is difficult to get motivated against smaller teams. It's not the same like playing against Real Madrid in El Clásico or a Champions League match. It's a lot more difficult to get motivated against smaller teams, and I think that's what happened against Rayo Vallecano. The team never came out with intensity, and look what happened. We drew, we dropped points, and as a result, Real Madrid were able to surpass us. Of course, that doesn't worry me. It's still pretty early in the season, plenty of matches to go. But today, on total opposite than a match against Rayo Vallecano. The team came out full intensity. They maintained the full intensity even when they were up 6-0. They continued attacking and attacking and attacking. And look what happened. Barcelona dominated every facet of the game. Barcelona dominated every single minute of the game, and not only did they maintain possession, but it was possession with intent, possession with purpose, and as a result, Barcelona ended up with a 6-0 result. Now, also, in regards to this whole intensity, Barcelona were very on top of it as far as defense. Not 1 second did Barcelona make you nervous. Not 1 second did you feel like, oh, maybe the team is a little bit asleep and there's, a dangerous chance or here or there for Valencia. Not at all. Despite being up, despite dominating, despite always having the ball, the defense stayed sharp, and whatever the few chances that Valencia had, the defense was there to intercept it. So not only did Barcelona dominate, but Barcelona were able to manage the match where not 1 second was there any sense of threat or any sense of danger or any sense that this match could somehow slip away. So overall, the entire team performed wonderfully. Very compact team. They worked really well together. They dominated every single second. They dominated possession. They never took their foot off the accelerator. They played with full intensity, and I think that Barcelona were today absolutely superb. Now, that's my sensation overall as a team as a whole. Let's talk about the players because there's a lot to dissect here. It started with Eric Garcia and Pau Cubarsí. Very important because today the two of them were absolutely phenomenal. I've said this before. I really like the Pau Cubarsí, Eric Garcia pairing. The two of them are academy players. The two of them are very good with the ball at their feet. They know how to build from the back. They know how to make great forward passes. Incredible two center backs who are very familiar with each other. Let's not forget, Pau Cubarsí and Eric Garcia were the pairing of center backs that won Olympic gold last summer. So I've always said I like this pairing, and today was no different. I think Pau Cubarsí and Eric Garcia were absolutely phenomenal. They were on their toes the entire match, intercepting balls, always getting there before the Valencia players, always anticipating what the Valencia players were trying to do, and there wasn't a single player that was able to get past Pau Cubarsí and Eric Garcia. Now, to be fair, of course, Valencia attack was pretty soft, was not very dangerous, but nonetheless, the chances that Valencia had, Eric and Pau were there to resolve the problem, and then they were there to start the build-up. In fact, Pau Cubarsí made a brilliant pass that resulted in Fermín López's goal. Yes, Ferran Torres assisted as well, but it all started with Pau Cubarsí's pass that broke all of Valencia's lines, and then Ferran Torres makes that deflection into Fermín, who ends up scoring a goal. But Pau Cubarsí and Eric Garcia, I would not be surprised if this becomes the starting two center backs for Hansi Flick, and honestly, I'm here for it. Very happy with the performance of these two. And then let's move on to the next person because we got to talk about Gerard Maldini. Gerard Maldini was taking the place of Alejandro Balde, who's injured. Of course, there's always worried when you don't have your starter. Today, Gerard did his job. Gerard is not really the defender that leaves you in awe. Then you're like, oh my God, look at this guy. He's amazing. He's no Pau Cubarsí. He's no Balde. But also, he's not like a defender that leaves you worried. He does his job. He does it well enough. He performs what he's asked of. And that's exactly what we saw today from Gerard Martin. And the reason I bring it up is because Hansi Flick has been able to turn Gerard Martin, someone that we saw at the beginning of last season, that would cause you worry when you would see him on the field. But with time, Flick has been able to develop him into a reliable substitute. Again, not a star, not someone you would say, oh my God, Gerard Martin, he's such an amazing player, but also not a defender where you're like, oh my God, I'm worried. He's no Semedo, he's no Firpo. Those two guys would always make me worried. Not at all. Gerard Martin goes in, does his job, does it well enough. So Flick has found a reliable substitute for Alejandro Balde. Don't expect Gerard Martin to become a starter over Balde anytime soon, but nonetheless, a reliable substitute for Balde, and today he showed us why. Now, more players. Marc Casado. Marc Casado today was absolutely phenomenal. Phenomenal. The same Marc Casado from the first half of last season. Marc Casado was incredibly active in the midfield, not only disrupting and intercepting Valencia's attacks, but also helping with the build-up with his quick first-touch passes. Casado was on top of his game today. And what I like about Casado, and someone mentioned this during the watch-along, is the calmness that he has. You see Casado, he's getting the ball. He gets surrounded by 2-3 defenders. He does not panic. He does not freak out. He has a way about him where he just remains calm and finds a way to resolve the problem. I really, really like Casado. I think he's an absolute great addition to the team. And today he did a phenomenal job. For me, 9 out of 10 for Marc Casado, who showed us that, well, we have plenty of options for that double pivot. And then Frankie and Gabi might be injured, but no problem because we have Marc Casado who can step up and do an amazing job. More players I want to talk about. Fermin Lopez. We have to talk about Fermin Lopez. 2 goals by Fermin Lopez, the MVP of the match. And today, Fermin Lopez sending a clear message to Hansi Flick that he wants that attacking midfield position, that he wants to start ahead of Dani Olmo. And honestly, based on today's performance, I would 100% give Fermin Lopez the starting position ahead of Olmo. Today, Fermin Lopez was superb. He was all over the field. He was attacking from the right, attacking from the left, attacking through the middle. He was tracking back, helping with the defense. He was helping with the build-up. He was scoring goals, providing crosses, passes, combinations with his teammates. I mean, Fermin Lopez was doing it all over the field. He got moved to the left wing, continued to perform. Fermin Lopez today was absolutely superb. And I'm not even talking about the goals because his goals were brilliant. The first goal, I mean, the angle that he scores that goal from, almost impossible to make that shot. And then the second goal, the banger from outside the box that nobody expected it. Not even the goalkeeper expected that shot. Brilliant goals, but goals set aside. Fermin Lopez today was phenomenal. He was doing it all. And today, clear message by Fermin that he should be starting ahead of Olmo. Now, I've said this many times, and I will say it again. I continue to believe until today that, honestly, we did not need Dani Olmo. I've said it a million times, and I'll say it again. We did not need Dani Olmo. We did not need to spend 60 million euros that we did not have on Dani Olmo. We did not need to sell seats for 100 million euros to register Olmo. And this is not a knock on Olmo because don't get me wrong, Olmo is a very talented player. In fact, I've always said it, I think Olmo is even more talented than Fermin Lopez, but Fermin performs at a higher level. Why? Because Olmo most of the time is injured. And even when he's not, he's an inconsistent player. Now, don't get me wrong. When Olmo has a good day, he gives you brilliant performances. They are better than Fermin's performances. But all that happens once in a blue moon. And to spend 60 million euros on a player that gives you a great performance once in a blue moon is just not good economics. It's not good financing. It's just not. It's not a smart move. And more so when you take into consideration that we had Fermin, who's cost us nothing, and that we had plenty of other players that can play in that position. And when you take into consideration that the club is broke. So I will maintain until today that the 60 million spent on Olmo was pure waste. Fermin Lopez was superb today. And honestly, if I was Flick, I would totally give him the starting position ahead of Olmo after today's performances. More players because today we saw Rooney Bardarji. Very quiet match by Rooney Bardarji. He did have a shot on goal that reminded me of the goal he scored during a preseason. But nonetheless, we didn't see a lot from Rooney. After all, maybe it was because a lot of the attacks from Barcelona came from the left and through the middle. So Rooney didn't get to participate much. We didn't see a lot, but I'm not worried. It's literally his first match in first top flight football in Spain. Literally. So I'm not expecting anything from him. It's his first match. I'm sure as time goes by, we'll see more from Rooney. Now, Coutinho, today starting off the bench, starting in the second half, scores 2 goals, gives us a brace. And I think today Rafinha really shined on the right because we had gotten used to seeing him on the left where he was performing best. I mean, on the right is where he preferred to play at Leeds. He came to Barcelona, 2 bad seasons on the right, but then he starts playing under Flick. Flick puts him on the left. Absolutely brilliant. So we weren't sure how he would do on the right, but today he came in and he showed us that Coutinho is still Coutinho, the same Coutinho under Flick, whether he plays on the left or plays on the right, because it only took him like 15 or 20 minutes to give us a brace. And we might see, we thought that Rooney Bardarji could be Lamine Yamal's substitute, but maybe it's going to be Rafinha, right? If Lamine needs to rest or needs to rotate it, we might see Rafinha be moved to the right with Rashford taking his place, because today Rafinha showed us that he could do it just as well from the right as he does it from the left. Now, on the other wing, of course, we did have Marcus Rashford getting his start. I think this is his second start of the season. I wasn't impressed by what I saw, but it was an improvement. Today, I saw Rashford very active. He was making a lot of runs into the box. Some of them were very dangerous runs, but he was lacking that final touch. Now, there was one play at the 3rd minute where he did take a shot that ended up going over the goal, so that he did finalize it there. But after that, we saw a lot of runs into the box, but without really finalizing them. He was missing either the cross, the pass, or the shot. So not a great performance, but an improvement from what we've seen. And again, I'm not too worried about this because Rashford, he's just arrived. He's not only getting used to Spanish football, he's also getting used to Barcelona, getting used to his new teammates, Hansi Flick's new style, new system. So it is going to take him some time. Don't expect Rashford to all of a sudden start performing immediately. If I would have to put like a timeline on it, I would say maybe October, November, when we might see a little bit more from Rashford. So don't expect him, to immediately be a star. But today, I'm happy that I saw an improvement. Again, not fully impressed, but definitely an improvement there. And then we do have to talk about Robert Lewandowski because Lewy is back. Of course, he missed the first, 2 matches due to injury. The 3rd one, he had some minutes, but he was still getting back into competitive rhythm. And today, Lewandowski comes in at the 60th minute. 2 brilliant goals. And Lewandowski making it clear that while he is miles and miles ahead of Ferran Torres, and there was talks in the summer about Ferran maybe taking Lewandowski's spot. I'm sorry, but if Ferran wants to take Lewandowski's spot, he needs to learn a lot. There's a lot to learn because today Ferran missed 2 clear chances, and then Lewandowski gets 2 chances and literally scores both of them. So today, Lewandowski showing us that at 37, he still got it. He's definitely still got it, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's going to be our starting 9 against Newcastle on Thursday. Now, finally, we have to talk, of course, about the great news, not just that we won today, but that Marc Bernal, after a very, very, very long year, 385 days since his injury, where he tore his ACL, damaged his meniscus, had to undergo surgery after an incredibly long year, treacherous year, a very long recovery. Marc Bernal made it back onto the field today, coming on for Pedri around the 80th minute. And not only did he make a comeback, but he made it with style because, of course, he did assist Robert Lewandowski's 2nd goal, or Barcelona's 6th goal. Very, very happy for Marc Bernal. Very happy for today's result. And ladies and gentlemen, it looks like Barcelona are resuming the season with full throttle. And as I've said time and time again, this team has shown us time and time again that when they come out, full intensity, full pedal to the metal, this team can do wonders. This team can beat anybody, but that's the key. They have to come out with full intensity, and they need to maintain that intensity. And we've learned that time and time again, that when a team doesn't do that, we lose. But when they do, there's nobody that can stop us. Great results. 3 very important points. Let's do a few more comments, and then we'll end this. But let's see. We do have a donation from Sanjog, who's always incredibly generous with his donations, always supporting the channel. Sanjog says, I actually like the stadium more than Montjuic because it holds just 6,000 people and more compact. It is much louder inside, which helped the players. I do like Estadio Johan Cruyff a lot. I've been to both. I've been to Montjuic. Not a fan. It's a pretty old stadium. It was built for the 1990? 92? 92. I think it's 1992. No. Yeah, 1992 Olympics. It was the early 90s. There was Olympics in Barcelona. It was built for the Olympics. So, it feels pretty old. I mean, the screen that they have there, it's horrible. Also, it feels old. Like, the architecture is old. It feels old. It feels decrepit a little bit. And finally, it's not a football stadium. It's an Olympic stadium. That's why, there's a lot of rows up front that are completely blocked. You can't even purchase them because the view is horrible. So, I'm not a big fan. I've been to the Estadio Johan Cruyff. I've watched the Barca Femenil and Barca Athletic there. I love it. It's very new, modern, very well kept. The pitch is spectacular. But of course, it's 6,000 people. It's not really a stadium, worthy of FC Barcelona's first team, one of the biggest clubs in the world. They deserve to be playing at a bigger stadium. But nonetheless, I mean, it's a great stadium. It's like I said, it's brand new. It's in great condition. I like it. And yeah, I do like it more than Montjuic, 10 times better. But of course, Montjuic holds a lot more people. But thank you, my friend, for your donation. Let's do a few more comments, and then we'll end this. Besu Ficat says, hey, Mo, the team played well today. I think the last few minutes we saw Bernal. I see Barca's future and his Pedri. Okay, I saw him touch his hamstring in the middle of the match. I think he's okay. I haven't heard anything else. Of course, if I hear something, I'll let you guys know. But Bernal, man, wow. What a bull. What a stud. I mean, he was already tall. We already knew that, but we also know that he went under a special fitness plan while he was recovering in order to build his muscles so he can be stronger and he can withstand first division, requirements, I guess, if you want to put it that way. And he looked huge today. Like he was just like a towering figure over all the players, not just Barcelona players who are usually short, but even Valencia players. What a bull. I mean, that guy looks and he's only 18 years old. I mean, he's not even fully developed, physically speaking. So, yeah. Hooper says, hey, Mo, I had a similar issue to yours with your Camp Mo. UPS recently just lost my Nike times Barca times Pata Culés Del Monte's shoes. What measures did you take to try to get them back? Wow, that sucks, man. I'm sorry that happened to you. You got to reach out to their loss department and file a form, file a complaint to let them know. They'll try to look for it. They ended up finding my chair because I shipped two things. I shipped the stadium chair and I shipped my little Spotify Camo. That one they lost. They never found it. The chair, they ended up finding it. It's still in Spain a year and almost 2 years later. I gotta go pick it up or do something with it. But yeah, the stadium, they lost it. They're supposed to give me my money back. They haven't. I gotta reach out to them. But anyways, yeah, reach out to their loss department for sure. Archion says, when Bernal came on, all the injured Barca players in the stands were clapping except De Jong. I did not pay attention to De Jong, but I do know that whole stadium clap was standing ovation. It was a beautiful moment. Beautiful, beautiful moment. I'm glad I got to witness it. Raul Davidson says, I really like this mentality by Barca today. Our hard work and persistence really paid off. I am worried on how Ferran Torres keeps wasting chances created for him. He should learn from Lewy. I don't know if he can. There's so much you can do as far as learning, and then eventually you just get handicapped by your own skill level. And, as much as we're happy with Ferran Torres' performance last season off the bench, it's still Ferran. He's not a world-class attacker. That's why I believe he's a great option from the bench, but I would not be starting him. But anyways. Excellent says, I'll remember Rashi for this game. Saw him fighting for the ball, showing he's physically good, and also his brilliant assist to Rafa shows his class. Prime Rashi incoming. Yeah, I think it's just a matter of time. You cannot expect Rashford, who's coming, getting used to a new country, new league, new team, new teammates, to all of a sudden hit the ground running. Is not going to happen. I think it's going to take him some time. I want to say maybe October, November, we'll hopefully see Prime Rashford at full throttle. So Mo says Bernal is like 6'5", I think. Let's see, how tall is Bernal? Marc, come on, keyboard. Marc Bernal height. 6'4", yeah. I knew he was tall, but I didn't know he was that tall until I saw him again on the field, and everybody around him, even the Valencia players, they looked like they were at his shoulder level, and I was like, holy shit, this guy is tall. And again, with this special physical plan that they put him on, this guy looked huge. I was like, who's that bull on the field? My God. But anyways, Wiz says, Barca stadium situation is becoming a joke globally. Look, the delays is fine. If anybody thinks that the delays is like somehow because Barcelona or this or Barcelona or that, they don't know anything about construction, because a project this big is going to be delayed. Major construction projects, anybody will tell you, delays are guaranteed, period. That's like they always say, there's two certain things in life, death and taxes. The third thing I would add would be delays in major construction projects. So that's a given. The problem is the communication from the club. Laporta and the club telling us that we were going to go back in November, then December, then February, then April, then May, then August, then September. That's the problem. I think they should have kept their mouths shut. They should have said, look, this is a major project. It's going to take as long as it's going to take. We'll let you know. And just keep it under wraps, and that's it. And once they had the permit in their hand, once the construction is done, inspected, permit in hand, then be like, okay, we're announcing that we're going to go back on this date. So the problem is the communication. But as far as the delays, delays are delays. They're a given with a major project like this. Let's do one more comment and then we'll end this. But Suleiman says, most of the players don't look tall on screen, but if you see them in person, you will see the difference. Yeah, absolutely. But, which highlights how tall Bernal is, because most players don't look tall on screen, and then you see him in person, you're like, wow, they're a lot bigger than in person than they are. But Bernal on screen, he already looked huge. I was like, oh my god, this look. So if he already looks huge on screen, I can't imagine what Bernal is gonna will look like once I get to see him, in person and live. I mean, he looked massive, but. Anyways, that is all, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know your thoughts about today's match, about Barcelona's victory against Valencia 6-0. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment, and as always, Visca Barça.